And welcome to another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. I'm Taylor Phillips. He's Ed Smith. Lions, Wolverines, Spartans. Yeah, the in-state rivalry game too, and the Red Wings we're going to talk about. So, let's kick things off with the Lions beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-6. It was a defensive slugfest like we expected, but the Lions had just enough offense and clock using up strategy to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers only had time for one last drive because of that last Lions drive and punt near the out of bounds at near the 1 or 2 yard line by Jack Fox. That was so strategic. That was like
Yeah,
money right there.
it was pinpoint accurate. Frankly, both punters were on the money today, or rather on Sunday for both teams, both Tampa's and of course Jack Fox for the Lions. And if you could see with punts like that, and frankly what he's meant to this team in general, but especially in a battle where you know it's going to be a defensive battle going in. These are eventually, I would say, two top 10 caliber defenses in terms of both knowing how to stop the run and with Tampa's secondary, but we'll get to that in a moment. But knowing that you're going to be a defensive battle, more than likely it's going to be a low scoring affair. So what that means, field and position takes even greater importance. And to really fully control that aspect of field position, that's where you need the special teams to come through for you. So having a punter, a great punter like Jack Fox, that can literally flip the field for you on any given moment, that matters in low scoring ball games. So good on Jack Fox and good on him to get the game ball for that as a result.
Yep, and that Jamison Williams bomb that gave the Lions some breathing room
It was,
in
and
that second
frankly,
half.
it probably gave JMO some breathing room as well. It's frankly what he needed, because let's not forget earlier in that drive he had an open catch and he dropped it. I'm sure that was not going to be a pleasant addition to the discourse that's already been going about him online and in social media and in the radio and in the media and all this other nonsense gossip or whatever. But good for JMO, for him to also the awareness on that play after he has his guy beat to keep his eye on the ball, turning his body, making the adjustment mid direction so he can get the catch. All of the guy draping all over him and still hanging on to the ball throughout the process and the contact. Um, Tremendous play all around. At the moment, it seems like that's going to be the primary role that they have for him, unless they try to find a way to open up more gadgets. But frankly, as long as Jamie is keeping his head down, doing what he needs to do in other essential plays, making a great usage of his snaps, throwing out run blocks. Like Ben Johnson would say, no block, no rock. So once you start filling out and earning the trust that way, those moments will come. Golf is going to find you. He's going to give you more chances. You're going to see that come across start to happen more and more. And eventually, I wouldn't mind seeing Ben Johnson open up the playbook and say, okay, let's get you in crossing patterns. Let's get you in some reversals and some jet sweeps. There's other ways to know that with your speed and knowing what you can do in space, um, let's do what you to fully get with you what we were trying to do all along. Let's not forget, people. He's still essentially considered a rookie. He's only played, I think, if you count Sunday, 8 or 9 games total in his career. So that's something that's going to have to develop, come with time, and of course, obviously, show trust in both on and off the field. But I have faith. I have the trust that Jam was going to do it. And frankly, when you consider the fact that you know that he's happy for his teammates, whether you see him running behind David Montgomery, being excited for his touchdown run, or see teammates being happy for him, like Alexander Zaloni, who I'll get to in a minute, who had himself a hell of a game himself.
Yeah, played
Um,
secondary defense pretty well, huh?
yeah, Anzalone, who frankly, by the way, his story has been quite tremendous so far this year.
Yeah.
But I digress. I'll get to him in a second. But for JMO, good for him. Great to see him finally get that big moment. You hope to see more of it down the road. As you can see, more teams try to say, hey, we know they're going to feed Amon Ra. That's their first option. We know Sam Laporta is their second option. We know Josh Reynolds is their third option. This is where JMO, if you could find a way to keep your head down enough, those more of those opportunities will come as defenses try to game plan around you.
Yeah. So the Lions improved to 5-1 The Packers 2-3, the Vikings 2-4, and the Bears 1-5. Those are the NFC North standings, of course. The Packers had their bye week.
Hmm.
The Lions, they lost David Montgomery to a rib
They
injury.
did. They did. It was unfortunate because don't forget on the play that he went down, he had a tremendous was it I think it was a flat screen pass out on the flat that he caught from Goff, got a lot of yak yards on it, got a big first down. And when he went down, we didn't know initially. I'll be honest, I thought it looked like something like a rib or maybe something with his chest. You initially thought it could have been a shoulder injury. I think that
Right.
was initially reported on the sideline, but then it was confirmed it was a rib injury. And Dan Campbell would then go on to confirm that due to cartilage issue, he's going to be out for a while. Now, for me, when I read into that, I'm going to say he's going to be out for the next 2 games minimum, which means he's obviously going to be out for Sunday against
Right.
Baltimore, and he may very well be out against the Raiders for the Monday night game, night before Halloween, which frankly I'm fine with because let's not forget, after that game on the 30th, that's the bye week. You don't play again until November 12th. So, in my opinion, give Monty all the rest that he could possibly need right now because we're going to need him in November and December to carry that rock. This is now, hey, you now can get more touches,
Good
more
thinking.
opportunities for Jameer Gibbs. But if you still need that presence of hey, we need to have a more physical, durable back end there. Thankfully, thank goodness, they were able to still have Mohammed Ibrahim, who they got, I think it was either undrafted, I believe, from Minnesota. They waived him. They cut him earlier in the summer with an injury settlement. They seem to now have, I guess, it was thank their fortunate stars because hey, he was available. He was activated, and no one else didn't want to get him. So now the Lions have themselves some form of depth in the running back department because frankly, it was getting dire on Sunday against Tampa. Craig Reynolds, the third string back, guy's got his nickname known as Netflix. Well, guess what? He was delivering Netflix moments all throughout on that field on Sunday, whether it be making key runs, giving that big block that sprung that Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown. Reynolds was just everywhere, all over the
Yeah.
place. You can make an argument that he deserved the game ball himself.
Well, hey, we saw the block.
Yeah, and it just speaks to not just this offense, but this whole team. Frankly, next man up. It's the next man up mentality. Okay, this guy's going down. Who's going to step up for you? Remember, they already had their other third string running back, Zonovan Knight. He was on IR. He's done for the year. So they were very, very thin at the running back spot
Yeah.
once Monty went down. So thankfully, though, Jameer, it looks like he's going to be on the up and up. He'll be ready to go for this Sunday against Baltimore. He's trending that way at least. You still have Reynolds, and you just got Mo Ibrahim from the practice. Or you elevated him. You signed him to the practice squad. I would assume, if necessary, you'll elevate him from the practice squad just in time for the game on Sunday.
Yep. And let's preview that right now. The Ravens
Hmm.
are favored by -3. Game kicks off
Hmm.
Sunday at 1 on Fox. So it's a grudge match. Lions and Ravens offense and defense both are matched evenly in the top 10 in the NFL. The way I
Yep.
read it.
Yep. This looks like basically almost a carbon copy, a preview of what we saw, of what we were trying to talk about last week for Tampa. Only this is a much more experienced, much more grizzled defense that knows what to do, knows its strengths, knows its weaknesses, knows how to come after you, and knows how to defend you so well. This is it may not be as vintage as say the 2000 defense or how the team was in 2012, 2013 when they won their as of now last Super Bowl, but it's still damn good. When you got guys in the secondary like Brandon Stevens and Marlon Humphrey who are going to have their hands full against Amon-Ra St. Brown, who, let's not forget, that Tampa game, that was his first game back since he had missed the Carolina game, and he came back with a vengeance with 12 catches, over 120 yards, and that touchdown. So him against that Ravens secondary is going to be a key matchup to look at. And also, let's not forget they do have guys on their front seven that can be quite ruthless and dominant in terms of their pass rush. No, they don't have guys like Haloti Nata in there, or Ray Lewis or Terrell Suggs, but they still have guys like Cal Van Noy. Hey, Lions
Those
fans,
days are gone.
like it. Hey, Lions fans, you might remember that name, Kyle Van Noy. They have what's ever left of Jadeveon Clowney, and they also have another name that Lions fans may know quite well in Roquan Smith. So the fact that Baltimore has I believe going into this, I last checked, their sack count reads as 23. That's at least tied for, if not the outright lead for most sacks in the league. So you thought that the Lions had their hands full with Tampa's pass front seven last week, dealing with guys like Vita Vea and Kalijah Cansey. Yeah, you're going to have your hands full even more so this week. Goff did well enough under pressure. It's going to be an even more stiffer test in that department for this week.
Yeah, I was going to mention
And
it's
that's
going to be a test
yeah. I
for the
mean, don't
entire
get me
team.
wrong. Goff has been amazing. Let's not forget last week
Yes.
because things were such a dire emergency. He literally had to throw the ball over 40 times. But guess what? No turnovers. He knew when to be smart. He knew when to make adjustments. The fact that he's
He
got
even
over
had
the
to take
past
a
seven.
couple sacks, one of them smart in that final
Yeah,
drive,
he had to. Knowing
just
when
to
to kill the ball,
kill
throw it
clock.
down at someone's feet. Yeah, exactly. He's got a 29 touchdown to 4 interception ratio over the last 17 games. That equates to one full season. The Lions are either, I believe, 13-4 or 14-3 in that span. So that's impressive, beyond impressive for what they've been able to do. It speaks highly to what he means to this team, how he's been a key ingredient of their run, and quite frankly, it's almost all but inevitable at this point that Jared Goff will get a contract extension to stay here. It's just a matter of figuring out the years and the amount, and also how much of that's guaranteed.
Yeah. So, prediction time.
Well, knowing that the line it originally started at Lions plus 2.5, the line has now grown to Baltimore -3 now. Knowing that the Lions are going to have their hands full, well, I wouldn't say a hands full, but they got some key weapons to look at because it's not just Lamar. You got guys like Edwards and guys like Zay Flowers
Yeah.
that can do damage on either the run and or the pass. Um, so knowing that, and also, yeah, this is a bit of a revenge game. You remember the Justin Tucker ending, the whole delay of game controversy from 2021. All that's going to be referenced. All that's going to be a factor. But guess what? That's all noise at this point. With this team, the main focus is to go into enemy territory,
How
go
about
in
this?
there and
Don't give up a fourth and
with a win.
19.
Yeah, that'll be helpful. That'll be helpful amongst other things. But remember, that was a far different team, far different defense, far different identity 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago than what
Yeah.
we're looking at right now. Now, as for prediction, I'm looking at the score. Listen, we got to know and have to have the expectation that the Lions are not going to win every single game for the rest of
Right.
the year. So, knowing that and knowing that, hey, you still have a fallback option, you're probably going to take care of business at home the next week against the Raiders anyway, and you got the bye week coming up. I would say, yeah, I'm going to hedge my bet here and say that the Ravens will win this game. It'll be low scoring. I could see this being a 19-13, 19-16 kind of deal, but the Ravens will win and likely cover.
Okay. Well, I believe that the Ravens will at least push you. Say maybe cover. I'm gonna say the Ravens push and win 20-17. Still down to
Hmm.
the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So, anything to add before we move on to college football?
Yeah, basically, quick shout out to to other people throughout the on the Lions defense. You already mentioned guys on the secondary. By the way, Brian Branch, he looks to be coming back this week as well. I love the fact that the Lions were again stopping the run. Yes, they know how to run the ball themselves, but also more often than not, you're not going to be able to run the ball. You still got to be able to stop the run, and that's what the Lions have been able to do consistently, game in and game out all year. And they got rewarded. They got the turnover. Isaiah Buggs with that tip that led to the Will Harris pick. You know, it became a systematic process of the defense just getting after Baker Mayfield all game long. So finally, right at the end, in my opinion, they broke him. So shout out to the defense. Shout out to to Alex Anzalone, who's proving once again why he is a captain for that team. He again led the team in tackles with 9 after having 11 last week. And frankly, for him to be performing like this, at a time when, knowing what we know with the situation in the Middle East, the fact that Anzalone's parents were in Israel at the time that things went down, the fact that they were able to get back safely has to be an incredible, tremendous load off Anzalone's mind. And the fact they was able to get this done in time for the Lions to come to Tampa feel like a very perfect fitting, timely moment for him all around. So good for Anzalone, good for the rest of that team and the rest of that defense. And another thing, winning on third down. The Lions were 9 for 16, Tampa was 2 for 12. If you repeat that, or at least a semblance of that against the Ravens, you do have a good shot at winning this game. I will say that at least.
Yeah. Not to mention the secondary was on and off again, but Tracy Walker with 2 big hits.
Yeah, Tracy. It seems like you want to establish that identity that whether it be no matter what side of the ball, this is a team that's going to be physical. They're going to be punishing. They're looking to be up in your grill every single second. So you're seeing Tracy Walker throwing out the big hits. You see Reynolds giving out the big boom with his blocks. It's an identity. It's about creating and changing and shifting that culture. So it all speaks into all that, all combined into one aspect here. So great to see that being fully displayed.
Yep. All right. Now, the Michigan Wolverines, they had a bad first quarter, trailed 7-0, but they outscored Indiana 21-0 in the second quarter, and then they kept rolling and never looked back. They went 52-7.
Yeah, it was, admittedly, there was a wet and rainy affair. Not the best start you could have wanted to see for the Wolverines. I think they gave up 3 sacks alone in the first quarter, but even after giving up that touchdown, they finally just like woke up for some
Better than
reason.
committing 3 turnovers.
Yeah, yeah. At least it wasn't Bowling Green all over again, thankfully.
No.
But after that touchdown, something clicked, and they just flat out dominated the rest of the game. They went into business mode. 52 unanswered points. JJ is growing awareness. He is growing skill. He's growing confidence. I'm seeing him move across the field, looking far different, in my opinion, and far better than he had through most of, if not all of last year already. I'm seeing how he's being able to scramble, knowing when the sense pressure is coming, using his legs, using his feet to get in the open space, escaping pressure, and if necessary, getting those first downs. You're seeing a little bit of his, I guess you could say, his athleticism at work by trying to throw little trick throws on the run to Donovan Edwards, who, by the way, kudos to him, finally getting his first touchdown of the season. I know he's been begging for one almost, it seemed, with the way that Blake Corum kept snatching up touchdown after touchdown. Who, by the way, he just moved up another spot in the Michigan all-time scoring touchdowns list. He just passed Denard Robinson for touchdown runs. I think he still has a way to go to catch Anthony Thomas, but hey, kudos to Blake. And frankly, everything's just rolling on cylinders right now. Offense, defense, special teams. You saw 4 more turnovers by the defense. There's a reason why they got their turnover buffs. That gimmick is frankly being a good work for them right now. The secondary is giving me flashes of 2018, at least the good parts of 2018. The pass rush being its usual self. Frankly,
Yep.
there's nothing else you could have asked for. Especially, like I said, it was a wet and rainy game, and frankly, knowing that this was an ugly start, they were able to overcome that and put things. The game was effectively over at halftime, so good for them on that.
Yep. And Michigan, yeah, in Michigan, they got the in-state rivalry game next, which we'll get to in a second. But the Spartans, their next counterpart, they blew a 24-6 lead and lose to the Rutgers Scarlet Knights in Piscataway, New Jersey, 27-24. And it all started with that muffed punt,
Yeah, before we'll get to
which they could not
ironically
overcome. It was
before
only
we
one
ironically
mistake.
before we I know, but it was a massive one, and it was triggered an avalanche. But before we get to ironically the trouble with the snap, let's at least acknowledge the good parts that Michigan State was doing throughout that game. Caden Hauser, in my opinion, looked far more polished and far more promising as the starter than Noah Kim ever could, in my opinion. If I'm a Spartan fan. If knowing what I got to deal with for the rest of the season, I'd probably rather deal with Caden Hauser as my starting quarterback. That's just my opinion. Unfortunately, though,
Better than Noah Kim, yeah.
fumbleitis. Yeah, but unfortunately though, it's like the same problems that Kim was having was still following its way throughout the offense, no matter who was quarterback. Too many fumbles, too many turnovers. Um,
Yeah.
and frankly, what we were seeing in those little mistakes throughout the game was a precursor of what's to come. For frankly, in my opinion, has to probably be the newest low. If and that's saying something. Think of the ground that has to cover. But it's like this season keeps uh, giving you newest lows in terms of the for this program and for the university, at least for the football program, at least. And seeing that you had a 20 right an 18-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and you literally blow that in 4 minutes. Frankly, Ross L, special teams coach, I'm surprised that he has been fired today because
Okay.
when you have a situation to where you give up a touchdown on a bot snap, by the way, how ironic, trouble with the snap, ha ha ha, and then another part that happens later on, somehow Rutgers essentially gets an onside kick recovery because somehow Michigan State didn't know how to field or have awareness of where the damn ball was going to be. So what happens after that? Manon guy, he immediately runs through the Michigan State's tired defense. By the way, has to go right back out on the field because there's special teams. There's that mentioned team that mention again of special teams. After the special teams failed again, the tired defense gets back on the field, and of course, Rutgers takes the lead. And frankly, all momentum is shifts. The team is shook, and once you have are that rocked mentally, it's hard to come back from. So no matter how they tried, or how hard they, or how much effort they gave, it frankly was the kill shot was done thanks in large part to the mistakes on the special teams.
Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, like you mentioned, their special teams coordinator was fired
Oh, it was he
earlier
now?
today. Yep.
Thank goodness. Yeah, that was. You know what? Unlike Miami, who somehow decided to not fire Mario Cristobal into the sun, at least I could say, whoever decided to pull the trigger on this one, kudos to you because that was just inexcusable,
Yeah.
unacceptable.
Indeed. And that leads us to the in-state rivalry game. Michigan State in East Lansing at Spartan Stadium Saturday at 7:30 on NBC. Of course, it's a rivalry game. It deserves prime time, um, airtime. You know what I mean? But seriously, Michigan's gonna roll over at Michigan State. The Wolverines are
It's
gonna roll over the
honestly
Spartans.
what we're looking at here is like you've heard of the story A Tale of Two Cities, right? Well, this is
Yeah,
a tale of this is a tale of two programs, a tale of two universities, a tale of two football teams. One seemingly going in one direction, the other going in literally the opposite direction. It's like we're watching a snapshot of a microcosm in time of what's going on with these two respective programs here. So while Michigan again is going to be looking into going to taking care of business because this is a road game and it is a night game. You know how wacky those things can always get. They still have to be with a more singular, focused mind at hand here because let's not forget, they may have a little bit of resentment over what happened in the tunnel last year. I'm just saying. I know they're
yeah,
very going to be looking to make this business going into this with a business mindset, but do not be surprised if some of that personal animosity makes its way onto the field, whether it be clashing in the trenches, play calls, decisions made by coaches. Just pay attention to that because Harlan Barnett, who Wally wanted to open his mouth this week talking, probably mentioning oh, my favorite memory was the minus 45, minus 48 yards in 2013. Ooh, well, guess what? My
that
favorite
was
memory
when
is
Brady
probably going
Hoke
to
was
be
Michigan's head coach, right? Martin Antonio
exact,
was the head coach of the Spartans, right?
exactly, yeah, exactly. You're correct on that. Well, guess
A
what,
decade
Harlan?
ago.
Guess what, Harlan? My favorite memory is probably going to be this Saturday night when Blake Corum runs all over your defense. How about that? There's
Yep.
nothing else to say here. Michigan goes into East Lansing and they drop a bomb on the Spartans.
Yeah, I'm gonna predict Michigan 49, Michigan State 10.
I'll say Michigan 45, Michigan State 17.
Okay, that's fair enough.
the Spartans will get a late score or two, but Michigan will thoroughly win and cover.
Yep, of course they will. So
I
the
think
Red
I think
Wings.
minus 24. I think minus 24 and a half is it's a bit big, but knowing how both teams have been all season, and knowing that Michigan has seemingly found its midseason form, they've found that next gear. Um, yeah, we expect to see what we've seen the past couple of weeks. Expect to see that continue this Saturday night in East Lansing.
Of course. Now the Red Wings. Man, they've been on a roll since their season opening loss in New Jersey, 4-3
Yes, they have.
to the New Jersey Devils, which had to be seen on ESPN Plus, which is, I think, BS. I I actually had to pay $10.99 per month, but I got it. At least I got it.
Hey man,
But
that's why
hey,
you gotta get that Disney bundle.
yep. All right. So let me see here, Brandon. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Brandon Herrera was commenting on Facebook and asking if he still wants to be on as a guest, as a just a hop on guest. But anyway, the Red Wings win 6-4 over the Tampa Bay Lightning, 4-0 at the Columbus Blue Jackets, and 6-3 tonight over the Pittsburgh Penguins, as seen on TNT. Alex DeBrincat, the guy who Red Wings fans everywhere wanted to sign, they picked him up, and guess what? He scored 5 goals in his first 4 games. He's amazing out
He's
there.
he's been he truly has. He's been an immediate perfect fit for this team. He and Larkin seem to be gelling well together already. Brinket already looks to be on pace for another 30, if not dare I say 40 goal season. And frankly, he is the symbolic focal point, focal representation of how this offense has been sprinting out of the gate to start these first 4 games. Because even though, yeah, they scored only 3 goals in New Jersey. You can argue they could have had 4, if not 5 themselves, because they had a couple of good, juicy scoring opportunities, including where a moment where Raymond had an empty net in front of him or open net in front of him, and he just missed it. But they couldn't bury him. But as you can see, it's right, 6 goals against Tampa, 4-0 shutout against Columbus. You saw what they did tonight. They did tonight against the Penguins. The offense is starting to finish those opportunities. They're being able to get the necessary scoring opportunities. And frankly, when you have Larkin, who's been setting the table perfectly with his passing, he had a couple of nice assists out here tonight. Anyway, again, um, and you see it leads to one aspect, which remember last year we were talking about how the Red Wings power play, or past few years now, how horrible it's been. Well, guess what? Coming in tonight, it was already 4 out of 10 power plays. That's a good 40%. That was the best in the league. Tonight, they went 2 for 2 on the power play, making it now 6 of 12 at even 50%, far and away the best power play unit in the entire league. And it helps when you have veterans and your new additions, sometimes a mixture of both, like DeBrinket, like Gostisbehere, for example, like Sprong and other guys. Hell, even Petrie, even Petrie got a point tonight, got 2 points, in fact, with his
Two
dad in
assists, I
attendance.
think. Yeah, Andrew
Yeah,
Copp
well,
tipped it in almost with a high stick.
yeah, almost, but it didn't get called. And then Cobb had himself an empty netter that was almost called back, or at least was challenged by Pittsburgh for being an offsides. But that would stand as well. And again,
Only
that came on the
TNT had
power
the
play,
view, not the refs.
and it was a close view. But because I guess it was inconclusive enough, they decided to go with the call on the ice, which I frankly, if that's the original call, you got to go with the call. So there was that, and like I said, that came on the power play. That's now 6 out of 12 power play chances. That's incredible.
Yeah. So
It's
Brandon
also
Herrera.
incredible.
Yep. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was going to say it's also incredible when you get terrific goalie work because Husso, between making big stops against New Jersey, and frankly making big stops again here tonight, especially against Crosby. My goodness, it was necessary because you knew that Pittsburgh blitzkrieg was going to be coming on in the third period, and it showed. and goodwill, good resolve on the Red Wings and on Husso to not blow it, to remain calm. And once they got that opportunity, they put the game on ice. And we're speaking of goaltender reliability, good on Reimer. On in his team
James
debut,
Reimer.
he got the
Yeah.
James Reimer. He got the shutout in his team debut, which, by the way, is the third time ever in franchise history a goaltender has done that in his team debut for the Red Wings. One of those other occurrences occurred last year with Ville Husso. So that's just all around. You're seeing the team being competitive and being productive in the necessary areas.
Yeah. So the Red Wings, before we get to Brandon Herrera, they've been red hot. They're 3-1-0 with 6 points right now. Penguins outshot the Red Wings 33-29. By the way, the Red Wings are in Ottawa this Saturday, back home against Calgary on Sunday, and then Tuesday home against the Kraken, and then next Thursday against Winnipeg before they head to Boston a week from Saturday. So
A good chance to get some more get some more wins under notch before they face a big test in the Bruins, and the Brinket returns to Ottawa. So worth noting in a couple of those upcoming games.
sure enough. Okay, so Brandon Herrera wants to hop on real quickly. Any questions or comments? Welcome to the show.
Well, no, thanks for throwing out the invite. Coming from the land of 10,000 excuses, here in Minnesota, it's tough to be a sports fan right now when it comes to Minnesota sports. So, but
Right.
I can imagine, unfortunately.
yeah, the Twins broke
At least
their
they're not
little-
the Bears.
Yeah, well,
True.
that game was hard to watch because I don't think either team was playing to win, but they weren't playing to lose the game either. So
A part of
Right.
me was hoping that game ended in a tie just for the sheer
Yeah.
hilarity of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which didn't even matter to me.
Right.
No,
Didn't
your
matter
Lions are
overall
looking
because
pretty
the
good. I like what the
Yep.
Lions are doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. 5-1. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's much appreciated.
And honestly, on my network, we do a football podcast on Sundays. I actually predicted that the Lions are going to upset the Chiefs in a close game. So
And they did 21-20
Yeah.
in week 1 on NBC
yeah, they did.
Thursday night.
I got laughed at. I got laughed at, but I was like, hey, they had all what?
It could have
6
gone either
months
way.
Oh yeah, but they had 6 months to prepare for them, and it's just like, oh, they're going to be ready for them guys.
Darn right,
That's
yeah.
that's the same thing I was telling you, Taylor. Trust me,
Yep.
they had all that. From the moment that they found out that they
Yep.
were opening the season at Kansas City, that's
And they
where
used it wisely.
put the work in. Yep, that's where they went to work, and you see how it's paying off.
Yep, exactly.
Well, that defense with Hutchinson is just amazing.
Yeah, Hutch has been a monster. Other guys on the defensive line, you're seeing Bugs, Benito Jones, Aleem McNeil. Guys that we talked about, hyped up from being drafted a couple years ago. Now they're starting to finally flourish. Granted, you could say being around Hutchinson has that effect, sure. But when other guys step up, and create several opportunities, mind you, James Houston is on IR, but he may come back before the end of the year. Same thing with
yeah.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yep.
So this defense, as great as it has been, and trust me, it has been truly great, it still has the potential to be even better.
No, this was definitely a year for the Lions to really step up, I think, with the rebuild of the Packers, the Vikings kind of in a rebuild, and then the Bears kind of, who knows what they're doing. But I thought this was going to be Lions' division to lose.
For sure, and especially now when you're seeing how the season has started and unfolded, it's even more their division to lose. And frankly, it will be seen as shocking if they don't win this division, and frankly, don't win it running away.
Right.
Oh yeah. Minnesota's schedule opens up a little easier after the bye week, but after Halloween. After Halloween, but they're going to be 2-7 by Halloween.
They still haven't played the Lions yet.
No,
yeah. Well, speaking of
Lions.
Speaking of
twice.
Speaking of easy schedule, the Lions have at this moment the second easiest schedule remaining in the entire league, because I think one or two teams that they're facing
After the Ravens.
Right after the Ravens. Right, the teams remaining on the schedule. I think they're facing only one or two teams as a potential playoff record. That's saying something.
Wow. Yeah.
Like you take care of this stretch.
They're
Like
good.
if you get through this stretch, you know, let's say 6-2, or dare I say 7-1 at the bye, I'm gonna be starting to raising my expectations, because I already had the ceiling at, hey, 10 wins, you likely win the division, you get a home playoff game. Now I'm almost for sure I'm raising the bar to 11 wins, by the way. But in terms of what I'm seeing unfolding in front of me, I don't know how it's going to end. We don't know. We all don't know how it's going to end. But what I'm seeing of, what it reminds me of, I can only think of one other thing, one other year, and one other team, and that's 2006 with the Tigers. Remember how they had that start? They had the come to Jesus
Yeah.
moment after getting blown out by Cleveland. Then they went on a tear. They looked like one of the most unbeatable teams in the league. They clinched the playoff spot. Granted, they blew a chance of winning the division, but they recovered. They beat the Yankees' ass, and they swept the A's and went to the World Series. Now, I
Only
am
to
not
lose
saying,
in 5 games to the Cardinals.
yes, we know how it ended, but let's not forget the fact that going into that season, the Tigers have been through a decade of shit. Through the Randy Smith years, through the years with Phil Gardner and Alan Trammell, then boom, first year under Jim Leland, 3 years after the 119 loss season, you win the pennant. Let's see, and
Was
you can
that
compare them with.
was that the 163 game?
That's
No, that was
2009.
9.
2009. That was
Okay. Okay.
2009. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't remind me of that. Please do not. Um,
I
but
had that in my
and
memory.
but I digress. Going back to what this means though for the Lions, I can see some parallels, because when you think about how they've been ripping and roaring to start, the players that
Yep.
they have, the history that's behind them, and knowing that they have a very good chance at this moment of making the playoffs, but also doing more than that. Again, I can't quite say it's going to end in that same exact manner, but what I am seeing is definitely reminding me of those 2006 Tigers.
Yep, it does. Yeah.
Good. Good comparison from outside looking in. Here in Minnesota, but I mean, Lions also have still some great capital from the Rams trade, don't they? I mean,
No, I
so they can,
believe this was the year. This was the year that completed. Was the
was it this
completion
year?
of
Okay.
yeah, for the trade of the
Okay.
Stafford Goff trade of the draft picks that was
Okay.
used this year. This was the completion of that trade.
Yeah, the
Gotcha.
trade was
Okay.
made in early of 2021. Here
Yeah,
we are
but
two
that's
and a
how.
half years later, and boom.
Okay.
And
I was off a
and
year.
yeah, and the players, as you can see, the players we got as a result. We got Gibbs, we got Laporta, we got Branch.
Yeah, we stocked up.
You
We got
know,
Montgomery. I know he's out. I know he's out for at least a couple games, and maybe or just a couple. Uh, Considering the Lions have the bye week after the Ravens and Raiders games.
well, for sure, if the Lions still have any plans on making this year something special, they're going to need both of those running backs healthy.
Yep.
Yeah,
They can't. They
imagine
can't. They
having
can't
Montgomery,
rely.
Gibbs, and Ibrahim all on the same active roster. Then their running back,
Don't,
then their running
don't
back
forget Reynolds.
department will be even a bigger force to be reckoned with.
Don't forget Reynolds too. Don't forget Reynolds
Reynolds,
too.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He can join in the fray if he wants to. Yeah,
Well, and that's the whole thing is, I heard you guys talking as I was driving home from my poker night tonight. That one or two guys can make a whole difference. I mean, take Carolina for last year. They traded away CMC. We all thought their season was done, and they had
Yep.
a playoff push at the end of the year, which shocked everybody. But
I'll tell
you
you
know,
this though. I'll tell you this. If they have any suspicion that Monty may be out longer than they anticipate, how about this? How about giving this guy a call? What about Leonard Fournette? He's available.
mm-hmm.
oh yeah,
That's
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just
that's a
saying.
name
He's
we
got the
remember.
experience. He's got, the similar look and style what you would want to have for your offense. Being that if you want to say that carbon Tommy, or at least again that similar style, similar player to what David Montgomery was for your team before he went down. That's a name I wouldn't mind you considering.
Yeah, yeah, bring him back for goodness sake.
I mean, and just in time for the playoffs. I mean, we remember, you've heard of playoff Lenny. Just saying.
Yeah.
That's a just in case type of emergency unit. Emergency unit. If you know what I mean. That's how I think of that. We could use that. So before we let you go, Brandon, your prediction between the Lions and Ravens.
That's in Baltimore.
It is in Baltimore Sunday at 1 on Fox. Ravens are favored by -3.
Now listen, if I see if I see half that stadium looking blue, the way I saw Tampa looking, I'll be done because Lions fans have already shown out in Arrowhead, they've shown out at Lambeau, they've shown out now in Tampa. Listen, you can bet your bottom dollar that they're going to show out in Chicago because what I'm seeing
in Baltimore too.
Yeah, well, I don't know about Baltimore, but they're going to do it in Chicago. But I'm saying if they do it in Baltimore,
the Lions are going to smoke the Bears. The Lions are going to smoke the Bears. The Bears are 1-5. The Lions are 5-1. Period.
Well, but the thing with our division, though, those games are always tough. Though, I mean, no matter how bad the teams are,
usually they are. But at a time like this year, that might not be the case.
No,
the Lions beat the Bears last time in Chicago. By the way,
by 1 point. By 1 point, it literally took the defense getting a stop on the last drive of the game.
It was a battle,
so that kind of speaks to Brandon's point too.
My prediction for this, I think it's going to be a close one, but I think Lions could squeak it out, possibly in overtime. I think it's going to be a Lion victory.
Score.
Yeah. I love the Lions, even though I'm here in Minnesota.
Do you have an exact
my hometown teams, but the score?
Yeah.
Because the line is Baltimore. The latest check is Baltimore plus -3. That's the line.
Yeah, I think I could see like a 24-21 game, Lions.
Oh, in overtime with a field goal by Riley Patterson.
I could see that happening.
Well, make sure
like
Edward said, 40 yards or less.
Yeah, like Edward said, though, if that game comes out and they show the crowd and it's mostly blue, man, it's going to be like a home game.
Yeah, it's going to be because, frankly, Lamar is just, again, it's just like the same thing for what we saw from 2 years ago. Force Lamar to beat you with his arm. Contain the running game. Make sure they don't gas you for runs.
Yeah, secondary has to show up too. Teamwork.
And just force it into Lamar can beat you with his arm or not.
Yep.
And I'll take my chances with that.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, but the secondary has to cover its deep to the Ravens deep threats like Sammy. Is Sammy Watkins still on the Ravens team, or was that just 2 days ago?
No.
I don't think he is.
Wow.
They got old.
But I will say,
who they got? They got OJ Baby. Right?
They got Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
So they got some good weapons on that offense. But I will say
they got one of the good Gopher receivers. I can't remember who went there, but
now they did have J.K. Dobbins, but that's before he got injured, though.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a break that the Lions missed out on. But let's not forget, more than likely, Brian Branch is coming back for this game. So that could be a potential neutralizing X factor here. Because in my opinion, before he went down, he was looking like the potential front runner for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And
he got a pick six off of Patrick Mahomes, for goodness sake.
In his first game, okay?
First NFL game.
Right. And you saw how he balled out. And you saw how he balled out in Lambeau too. So he'll be game for this. He'll be more than ready for Lamar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's going to lead that secondary defense. At least I would think. So, Brandon, thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, no problem.
Yeah,
it's good watching you guys. Glad to join. So, you guys have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
You too, my man. Take care.
Yeah, spread the word about our podcast, by the way.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, yes. So, let's wrap this up with our What We've Learned segment. Ed, what did we learn?
Well, we learned that the Lions are proving themselves to be not just one of the best teams in the NFC, but frankly, one of the best teams in the entire NFL. Because let's not forget, with the Eagles and the 49ers losing on Sunday, the Lions are now tied for the best record in the league at 5-1. And
It's
when
a
you have a
six-way
defense,
tie.
yeah, and when you have a defense that's been performing as ferociously as they have been, when you have a quarterback that has been as consistent and as careful and as trustworthy as Jared Goff has been, and when you have a full team that has absolutely bought into their coach, the way this team has bought into Dan Campbell and the coaching staff, in my opinion, the sky is the absolute limit for the Lions. What we learned for, frankly, Michigan State, the season's over. I think, frankly, it's fitting that they're going to be wearing black uniforms against Michigan because what? It's funeral time. It's time to put it's time to put them to bed. They may try to make it close. They'll probably, give it a good fight the first quarter or so, but by halftime, they'll know it's bedtime, and by the middle way of the third quarter, they'll give up the ghost, and Michigan will be in firm control of what to do. So again, it's business, but with a side order of personal attached to it. If you're the Wolverines, and frankly, what we learned also about the Red Wings is that the excitement is back in Hockey Town.
Yeah.
Alex DeBrincat looks to be not only a potential All-Star, he may be a potential MVP candidate if he's getting the scoring, dare I say, 40 or more goals with the pace that he's on. And with Husso showing you that he has what it takes to be your goalie for the future, um, your top line giving you consistent scoring depth, your young kids like Cider, for example, not afraid to get it, and Larkin, like tonight, not afraid to get in there and get rough and scruff it out and get in the brawl. That's the mentality, that's the identity, that's the culture you want to exhibit and have it be shown to show that, hey, the Red Wings are for real, they're back, and it's good, damn good to see excitement in Hockey Town once again.
Yeah. You were touching on the Michigan State uniforms being colored black. Well, it wouldn't really matter to me whether they were
I
black
know.
or green.
I'm just making a
Yeah.
euphemism,
Right.
a sarcastic
Uh,
joke, a double
yeah.
entendre. It's fitting that
Yep.
they're wearing
5 points
black.
bids can make those too. Yeah.
hmm
Yep.
Yeah, that goes without saying. Yeah, yeah.
So that's another So that's what we've learned, and that's another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. I'm Taylor Phillips. He's Ed Smith. Follow the Michigan
hmm
Sports Truth Podcast on X and Instagram at Michigan__ truth, and like its Facebook page. Subscribe to its YouTube channel at the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Like our videos and turn on all notifications on the bell icon for upcoming episodes. Follow it and listen to it in audio form on Spreaker. Follow me on X, TikTok, and Instagram at DT2Phillips, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at DT2Phillips. Also on Twitch, DT2Phillips1984. Ed Smith on X, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube at EdSmith313. Special shout outs go to Athletico Physical Therapy on Woodward and Ferndale, the B4 Foundation, and I want to mention this was named after former Ithaca Yellow Jackets high school football quarterback Brady Hesbrook, who took his life.
hmm
His father, Terry, current athletic director and former, I would think, a Hall of Fame or former head coach of the Yellow Jackets, winning multiple state championships. He is running that B4 Foundation, and I would like to spread the word to it on my Michigan Sports Truth on our Michigan Sports Truth podcast. By the way, the Ithaca Yellow Jackets state are still undefeated in high school football. They're probably going to finish undefeated before they heading into the playoffs. Anyway, they might even make a deeper run in Division 8 in the MHSAA. Cali tickets. Call Mark Goldman at 877-225-8425 or visit CaliTickets.com. Creative Embroidery of Cadillac for designing the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast logo on my long sleeve shirt and t-shirt. Cuts by Melanie in Lake City. I have a haircut appointment Friday at 11:45 a.m. Let's roll with it. Rolled ice cream in Cadillac with the flavor of the week, the peach cobbler. Follow them on TikTok at the Food Mafia LLC. Northern Star Event Rentals in Cadillac, 231-884-8195, and on Facebook. And United Food Service Solutions of Grand Ledge, Michigan. By the way, Dylan McCloskey is asking how the Sharks are doing. St. Louis. To tell you the truth, the Sharks are They're 1-7, unfortunately.
Oof.
Yep.
So they're living up to the urinating tree legacy of failure video perfectly.
In high school football, I would guess so. I know sportsmanship comes first, but thank you to Dylan for asking us, or at least me.
Oh, I thought he meant the hockey sharks. Never
Oh
mind.
no, not the San Jose Sharks. No, it's St. Louis Sharks, the middle of the middle of the mitten. By
Oh,
the
okay,
way,
you would know that one. That's up your expertise.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, my apologies for the confusion. But anyway, we'll be back probably next Wednesday again at like either 10 or 10:30. I am Yeah, the Misaki golf course is done with the groundskeeping work because it's been dead as of late. But yeah, probably next Wednesday at like 10:30 or so. Does that sound good to you?
That's no problem by me.
All right. So until then, for Ed Smith, I'm Taylor Phillips. That's another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Like I mentioned, until next Wednesday at 10:30 p.m. For Ed, I'm Taylor, and remember, we observe and detect the truth about Michigan sports. Stay on the lookout, everyone.
Stay safe. Go blue. Go Lions.
Yes. Go Wings.